Good afternoon, NASCAR fans. Chris Terrell here with rotopros.com, dfsr.com, and my Patreon page, patreon.com/Jagerbombs. How's everyone doing today? Are you ready for a extremely busy weekend here for DFS NASCAR? Starts off with Xfinity race, which we're going to talk about here. We got the Hooters 250 this afternoon. Lineup lock for that is 3:30 p.m. Eastern, and then we've got the Baptist L 200 for the Truck Series. That lock is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern tonight, and then tomorrow the Xfinity Series is going to have a race number 2 here at Homestead. That is at noon Eastern, so nice and bright and early. I'm going to have some picks out on updated sheet once this first Xfinity race is over. It's going to be a bit of a hectic day there, but I will have that updated with some more picks for that. That's the Contender Boats 250, and then the big one tomorrow afternoon, 3:30 p.m. Eastern lineup block. We've got the Dixie Vodka 400. Me and Dane will be live for that as well, and also up today on the RotoPros YouTube account, you're going to find my preview video for that race. I'm going to go over some track history, track type history, look at some current form since the return to racing, some season form, all types of good stuff there to kind of get you set up for tomorrow's race. So we're going to look at the sheet here. I'm going to dig in, and right up there at the top, we've got Dale Earnhardt Jr. today. So that's awesome seeing him back in the race car. Okay, I am doing good, JJ. How about yourself? Oh, no problem at all. I like doing these videos, especially now that I've got a little bit of more internet connection where I can actually do some streaming, where I can put up some pictures, look at the cheat sheet. I can have a guest like Dane on. I was having terrible time with that before. So now that I get at least a little bit more internet, hopefully I have an upgrade for that even more coming up in the future, and I can do some more stuff with that. But really appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Like I said, I work for 3 different sites, so you're going to want to check out. I'm not sure which one you're affiliated with. If you're not affiliated with anyone, make sure to check them all out. Rotopros.com. You top right-hand corner, hit that sign-up button. You're going to get a free trial there, as well as use promo code Chris, and you'll get an extra 50% off when you sign up. DFSR, we are back July 31st when NBA is back with our optimizer and stuff like that. But from now, any customers right now will be able to get access to our cheat sheets. All the cheat sheets that I do, I cover all 3 NASCAR series, as well as I've got the Matrix as well. We're going to go over that here shortly. This is kind of what it looks like here. So I've got 2 sheets for each series now, so we got a lot going on there. And then also I've got my Patreon. I offer all those sheets as well over on my Patreon page. That's patreon.com/Jagerbombs. $5 will get you one sport, and $10 will get you all of them. And I believe right now I'm working about 7 to 10 somewhere in there, depending on which ones are up and which ones aren't at the moment. Soccer is also going to be coming soon as well. So get over, check those out. Let's get talking about the race here. So we got the Xfinity. We got lock in about 2.5 hours here. So we got some interesting ways to go. Kyle Busch is not in the race, so that's good. That kind of brings that pricing all together. We got Dale Jr. back like I had mentioned. So we're just going to go ahead and look at that here for a second. Just going to bring this screen across. So right there at the top, we've got Dale Jr. Now, some of my picks, I'm going to be using him GPP. I don't really want to trust him starting 12th. If he was maybe starting, outside top 15, outside top 20, he'd probably be in my core at the most expensive driver. But, the lack of current form, the lack of experience in the car lately kind of has him more of a GPP play for me. Kind of the guys I'm looking at the top. There's 2 of them. Chase Briscoe, number 2 in my model, as you can see today, as well as Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric comes back with 7th and 5th place finish in the 2 races he's had here. So I'm definitely looking at that. I'm going to scroll over. We'll look at his starting position, 9th, and Briscoe is 8th. So starting 8th and 9th, I like those 2 Fords to get up front, as we have seen not only on this track type. Those 2 stand out as the only 2 drivers that have led 200-plus laps going back to the start of last year on intermediate tracks, so that's the 1.5 mile tracks. So that's good to see. Briscoe's got 2 wins. Cindric doesn't have any wins, but he's got 4 top 5s. 8 top 10s, but like I want to see from these guys at the very top, we want to see some dominator points. So I'm kind of looking at Briscoe and Cindric as my 2 dominators in that top tier. I don't have it I'm actually going to split this up. I haven't updated the projected laps led here on the matrix, as you can see, but I'm going to get Briscoe and Cindric probably splitting 30-35 laps apiece. We'll just go ahead and we will adjust that right now. I'm actually going to wipe Dale Jr. off there. So we got 167 laps in this race. So that's kind of the way I'm breaking down my projected laps led as of right now. I see Gragson getting out and leading a bunch of laps. He's been very good in that area so far this year. So that's what I'm looking at there. So Briscoe, Cindric, Gragson, those are my top three in the 9K and up range. That would be my core three. I do think, back to JJ's question here, I do think it is a risky play with Dale Jr., just being that he hasn't been in the car a whole bunch. He hasn't been in the Xfinity car a whole bunch, and he's the most expensive driver and only starting 12th. So just looking at the matrix here, for instance, Dale Jr. starting 12th. If he finishes there, he's about 32 points. For Briscoe to get that same 32 points, if he leads around 32 laps, you're looking at about 15th place, which I think Briscoe 15th place finish is a little bit more higher odds, I would say, than Dale Jr. So for Dale Jr. to really pay off his price at 11.8, the most expensive driver, we're going to have to see some laps led out of him, which I don't completely see. The car's been good, don't get me wrong, but there's some other guys that I think are going to get out and lead some laps ahead of him. So I just don't see that. The upside is definitely there. He could get out and lead some laps, but I just see Briscoe and Cindric more in that dominator role, even higher projected finishes as well than Dale Jr. So I'm going to have little Dale Jr. unless I'm kind of going to get up into that 20 max, which doing the video and putting together some of the skeletons, I don't think I'll have time to get that much. I'm probably going to do a 3 max today and then some single entries for the Xfinity race. So I probably will have 0 Dale Jr., but I'm not going to talk you off if you're going to use him in GPP. But Briscoe, Cindric, Gragson, top guys in that top tier for me today. Okay, so moving down to that next tier, I'll go back to the main sheet here. We'll have a look. So a few things stand out. I'm going to start at 9,100. Jeremy Clements, I think, is a good GPP play. He's had a 16.3 average finish in 4 races since the return. We are going to look at those 4 races. So he was 13th at Darlington, got in a crash, 32nd at Charlotte, then back again. He bounced back at the mile-and-a-half track at Atlanta last week and finished 13th. So out of the 2 races where he did not crash on the mile-and-a-halves this year, he's finished 12th and 13th. I really like that upside. We go look at Clements over on the Matrix at 9,100. He's finishing 12th and 13th, so I think he's kind of got that upside. So the way I look at it is he's kind of got upside of 12th, but I think he's probably more, his floor is probably 15th to 20th. So 15th, you're looking at 37, and then all the way down to 20th, 27. So I'm kind of put him in that projected point range of 27 to 43, which that price seems a little bit high for that. But that's a pretty stable floor at 27 with a nice upside of 40-plus points there for Clements. So he's definitely on my GPP radar. He'd be a core play if he was kind of in that mid-8K range, but being in that low 9K, he's going to be a kind of a GPP play. The guy I will lean to is Alex Labbe. I definitely like him starting 36. It's more of a place differential play. That's why his price is a little bit higher. The pricing for DraftKings this week did not come out until after they had the qualifying draws the other night. So Labbe starting 36 is going to be a little bit more expensive, but looking at his performance since the return of racing on the 3.5-mile tracks, Darlington 17th, Charlotte 16th, he started at the back of the pack in that race, and then last race was a little bit of a struggle, starting 15th and ended up 27th. So I'm kind of looking at him as 15th place upside. That's kind of his ceiling, which 50 points I'll definitely take at 8,900 as a driver's upside, and then kind of his downside, I would say I don't think he's probably going to be in that 27th. He's probably more 25th place car. So he's right there as a 30-point floor, 50-point ceiling for me, which I will happily take that kind of range from a driver in that sub 9K range. I think he's going to be a core play for me today. And then right below him, Michael Annett is starting 17th today. He is on my radar, number 8 overall in my model. He's finished top 20 in 14 of 15. I know we need more than the top 20, but I'm just kind of looking at it for floor perspective first. 14 out of 15 races on mile and a halves. He's finished top 20. He's got 8 top 10s and 4 top 5s. A few laps led in there, so he's a possible dominator that could happen. But he started in 17th, so it would be more of a late race dominator. He has, since the return to racing, he's been getting good starting positions of 11th. So starting 17th gives him a little bit more place differential upside. Average finish of 20th. He is another driver I wanted to look at here. Give me 2 seconds and I will pull that up. I was not prepared for him. Annette. All right. So starting 17th, I definitely like that place differential. He started second, so on the front row at Darlington, finished 25th, 1 lap down. At Charlotte, he started 9th, finished 7th, had a very strong run there, top 10 run. And then he started 21st at Atlanta last week, and another strong run, finished 11th, picked up 10 place differential points. So I think he's kind of got, looking at his track history here, we'll slide back over and look at that. He's finished 11th, 9th, and 9th in the last 3 races, last 3 years here. So kind of putting him right around that top 10, probably even top 5 upside for him. And a lot of this track history is good to see without the track or without the Cup guys, because Homestead was the final race of the season. The Cup guys, the Cup regulars were not allowed in these races. So this data is some pretty darn good data to use. So I love seeing 9th, 9th, and 11th out of Annette over the last 3 years, starting 17th, and especially at a sub 9K price tag. So he's definitely going to be a core play for me. Yes, definitely the drivers on the lead laps. I'm just kind of going over JJ's question here, talking about the field, going a lap down or 2 or 3. So that's kind of your bottom end guys. I like this track watching the race just because it has multiple lanes. So I really like to see that. Guys can go up against the wall, down in the mid or down on the bottom, can go in the middle. You can find multiple lanes to try and pass. So we should get some passing. So place differential, I'm definitely looking at a little bit more this week. A lot easier to pass than Atlanta. A lot less tire wear than Atlanta. So we should see some of these good cars like Annette, like I was talking about, come from 17th and easily give you that top 10 upside. That's why he's a core play for me. But even some of these bottom guys that are starting at the back, it all depends on, the level of car. So not only when you're doing your research for Xfinity series, should you be looking at definitely the top drivers. They're all in the same cars each and every week. You can look at the NASCAR standings on NASCAR.com to kind of see who your regulars are. But then some of these guys that are in some of these cars, you can definitely start going and looking just at the car number, how that car number is performed, because a lot of these guys are changing cars from week to week. So definitely pay attention to that as well when you're doing your research. And then we'll just move on to a few more picks here that I am looking at. I think we can consider Tommy Joe Martins. He's got 126th place finish here in 2018. He's starting 34th. Since the return of racing here, he's got an average finish of about 23.8. So he's kind of like a 25th place car. The price is a little higher, but again, it has to do with the place differential that he's going to give you. So at 25th, he's going to give you 28 points. I'll definitely take that at a low 8K price tag. I think he's probably got 20th upside, so kind of that 26 to 38 kind of point window is kind of what I'm looking at from him. Then we've got Joe Graff Jr., 7,400. He's been standing out the last few weeks. I'm just going to look at his... Yeah, so he's finished 19th at both Darlington and Charlotte at the return to racing in those 2 weeks, and then 26th at Atlanta. So I'm kind of looking at 20th to 26th from him. That kind of puts us in the range of 24 to 36 points. Again, 7,400. I like that value, that place differential there. He might even sneak in a top 15, which is going to give you your kind of like your GPP upside there as well. So I like him in all formats. And then kind of going down a little bit further, Justin Haley seems a little bit underpriced, a 33rd. Last year at this race, but I'm kind of throwing that out the window. It was less than 100 laps, had some issues there. Gonna go over, he's starting 10th, so that is, let's just go look at some of his current form here. He's got a top 5, 2 top 10s, and 3 top 20s. Average start of 3.5, so seeing him start 10th is a little nicer in terms of place differential. 14.8 average finish, and in the 3 intermediate races, he was 10th at Darlington after starting third. He started third again at Charlotte, finished 29th. He was involved in a crash, and then he bounced back at Atlanta, started fourth, and finished third. So I think he gives you top 5 upside most definitely. I don't think he's going to contend for the win, but I think anywhere from third to fifth is his upside again, and I think kind of his floor is right around where he starts at 10th place. So we're looking at the matrix at 10th place. We're looking at 32, which I will take for a sub 7K price tag, and if he gives you third place upside of that kind of 45 to 48 upside, I think he's an excellent play at 6,700. And then if you are punting any plays here today, back to BJ McLeod. He's always standing out on the 3 races. Darlington 15th, Charlotte 17th, and then Atlanta 25th. He's been starting in that 13th to 17th place. So today he's starting 22nd. Love to see that. Gives you a little bit more place differential. So if he's got 15th place upside, that's 36 points, and kind of that 25th. So he's kind of got a little bit wider window. 16 points, not really what we're looking for, but he's in that 5K range, and I will take the risk of only getting 16, 18 points from him in the 5,200 range if I can go up and get like Briscoe and Cindric in the same lineup, possibly Gregson and Cindric, Gregson and Briscoe, 2 of those 3 core guys, and then mix in some of these mid-K range or mid-tier range guys. I think BJ McLeod makes sense at 5,200 again. So that's kind of the core that I'm running today. Like I said, I'm going to be doing 3 lineups depending on time. We'll see what happens here. Thoughts on Kobe Howard? Okay, so he's starting 31st. I believe I'm just going to go check his track history here. He's got none, so he's got no track history since his return to racing. We'll go look at that here, seeing as we don't have other data. 2 top 20s in the 4 races, average finish 24.5, little bit better average run position, and as you can see in terms of DK points in that sub 6,500K range, let's just say, or 6.5K range, he is second to only BJ McLeod in points. I just want to look at his performance since the return on the 3 intermediate tracks. So it's nice that we have a nice sample size now, not only for season and going back into last year, but looking at some current form, as well as we've got 3 intermediate tracks already under our belts in the Xfinity series now that we're coming into this 4th one. So he started 31st at Darlington, 27th finish, started 29th at Charlotte, 37th place finish, overheating in the car. That was on lap 11 there. I'm not sure if that was a start and park, kind of appears that way. And then he was 34th start at Atlanta, so he's been consistently starting around 30th or back, and he finished 15th there. So that was more. I don't think he's going to consistently have that 15th place upside, which does give you 45 points. I think he's kind of more in that 20th to 25th place range. So that's kind of like McLeod, who's going to give you a big window. But even, like I said, McLeod was kind of down there. So I think the floors may be a touch higher. I don't think his ceiling is quite as high as McLeod. But definitely in that sub 6K range, a guy that you consider as another value play. Just didn't make my core. And if I was to go more than 3, just to get less exposure to McLeod so I don't get, like 40% McLeod in my lineups, I would definitely, Howard would be the next man up for me in that sub 6K range. So good point on Howard there. Thanks for that. Other than that, that's kind of the core I'm running today. If you have any other questions, definitely hit me up. Like I said, we got just over 2 hours to set our lineups here until lineup lock. I'm going to have skeletons posted as well. Hit me up in the RotoPros Slack chat. And if you're new to RotoPros, get over to rotopros.com. Sign up for your free trial and use promo code Chris to get in and get an extra 50% off once you're done your free trial. We've got myself, Kenny, and Dane in there. Dane will have skeletons out for this Xfinity race as well as some thoughts and some core plays for him. Definitely hit up Kenny if you're looking at maybe multi-entering. He is excellent pretty much across all sports in terms of multi-entering and how to put a core together, how to run that core, what contest to go with. That's kind of one of the key things that we really try and teach, not just how to research, looking at drivers, looking at, depending on the sport, looking at statistics. That's key for sure. But contest selection, bankroll management is also huge. So definitely hit us up with some suggestions on that, what contest to choose for that. And then hit me up on DFSR. I'll be in that chat as well. And then for Patreon, you can hit me up with a message on the Patreon app itself, or you can hit me up on the Slack chat there. Thanks for tuning in. All likes, are definitely appreciated in terms of the YouTube channel. Leave your comments below as well. Any questions you can leave there, I will answer them. And then tune in a little bit later on the RotoPros channel, and I will have my preview show for the Cup race tomorrow. And then tune in tomorrow morning on my channel again, and Dane will join me for the Cup Series live show. Probably it's going to be during the Xfinity race. Maybe we can get it earlier so we can maybe give you some Xfinity picks too. Stay tuned to my Twitter and all the chats, and I will announce when that show is going to go. Again, thanks for tuning in. Let's go get some green screens. Good luck, everyone.